you know, maybe you would feel that and I would just never hear it. But now my self-esteem is through the roof. I'm feeling great. Yeah. How did I get into doing poetry? Well, for myself, it was something I was always doing. Like, I can't remember the time when I started doing it. I was, I don't know, maybe like 10, 11, 12, like this, when I started writing poetry. And so much so I thought it was something that everybody did, you know, like go to school, you play football, ride your bike, you write poetry. It turned out it was kind of a unique situation. But actually, when I found out that everybody didn't do it, it actually made me more serious about it. So I was like, oh, this is something peculiar, you know, to me. So it made me want to take it more seriously. Yes. Oh man, the mindset that I'm in when I write, that's kind of tough. It's different times depending. No, not really. Actually, almost all the poems, it's a similar, you know, if it's a sad poem, romantic poem, whatever, but it still exists in a similar space. You know, I have this poem called Dead Man Walking. Dead Man Walking, yes. Dead Man Walking is a poem that's generally understood as like a political poem, but in truth it's not. The first half of Dead Man Walking is really about what it feels like to create. It's a very internal look at what it's like to engage this poetry, this, matter of fact, maybe I should segue into the poem. It's a perfect segue. All right, I don't know if I'm gonna recite the whole poem, just because I don't know if I remember the whole poem. I know I wrote the poem. For me, it's a poem, it's like an old poem. So I wrote this goodness, I wrote this years ago. It was a minute ago, like 5 years ago or something, and I haven't done it in a little while. But I'm gonna take a go at it, just for you. What's your name? Boys? Okay, this is dedicated to you. Make you super popular. A man on campus. All the chicks are gonna dig you. Okay. Okay. All right. I'm a dead man walking, a mute man talking, a blind man watching my brothers die. And I've built all coffins, much too often, and it gets so dark when our mothers cry. I know more than I want to, but not nearly enough. I thought I was doing it for the love, writing for the love, but just turned out to be lust. And my trust in us was gullibility. The reality is just that I'm not who I was, nor who I will be. But sometimes I feel, this is the part about the poetry, right? So sometimes I feel me visiting and I fill me with the lush scent of soul, the flavor of feeling, a rush of color. I think the pleasure may kill me. The pressure squeezes and spills me into the language of the unseen, the unthought, and the undreamed. And my heart begins to pump the thick, rich fluid of verse, searching for a simple word or phrase to fill the space between the wet nurse and the black hearse. And I know sometimes my words lack worth, lack depth, lack girth, lack the distance to travel from heaven to earth, or from mind to brain, or from soul to flesh. I hold my breath in a hollow hope that my hopes ain't hollow. It's just a message in a bottle, or a genie in a bottle, or a baby in a bottle, or a wino in his bottle. This symphony of me is stuck in staccato, like a broken beat breaking a vinyl into bits of blackness, spinning in circles. Come down, selector. Last night the DJ took my life and left the speakers empty and the speakers speechless and the dancers still, dancing or not. They don't see our music as musing, merely amusing amusement. How could they know in basement booths we balance the nexus between where the soul and the flesh is, where the science of intellect is? We rock genius like a necklace and drop jewels in gutters. But they fooled our mothers into thinking that they could raise sons in the darkness of night. But isn't the night always dark before the sun is raised? But when the sun is raised, doesn't he make the block hot? And the eyes squint, and the breast sweat, and the trees grow, and the children play? The raised sun makes the pavement see wavy apparitions, the mirage of future. But I know I'm a dead man walking, a mute man talking, a blind man watching my brothers die. And I've built all coffins much too often, and it gets so dark when our mothers cry. So now I'm walking a thin line between love and hate, between words that are spoken and beats that break. There's a thin line between a bullet in the chamber and a bullet in the brain. I'm civilized, sane with a little savage in me. It's not a little savage in me, it's just a lot of passion in me. And sometimes the soul rolls out of control without a glass of Remy. And some niggas are fine with being slaves just as long as master's friendly. And others spit fire at master till the Mac is empty. You don't need to pass and send me to see the assassin in me. But know that no soul is taken accidentally. The angel of death has an itinerary and snatch you right out of your Bentley, right out of your Gucci jeans, right out of your Fendi, right out of your dashiki, and right out of your Kenti. Allah has written in his book and there's no erasing the pen's ink. So why do we ignore what God knows and rely what men think? We're just boys on a back street trying to get in sync. My balance is off. My talent is lost. I've married my art, but she's barren, of course, and I can hear in her voice that we're nearing divorce. So before I hear her get caught, I may have to kill my dreams and bury the corpse. I shed a tear for the loss. I feel like I'm bearing the cross, but my conception is so far from immaculate. For the most part, we a bunch of bastard kids. Our fathers are gone. Caught in a cycle of sadomasochists because our lives are dead wrong. But resurrected like Lazarus because our mothers are strong. And our romance is about as romantic as the master's kiss, but we have got to move on. And our lives are about as painful as the master's whip, but we have got to move on. And I wish I could just sing for justice, but I know no such song. I know about Shahada, Salah, and Quran, jihad, martyrdom, and homemade bombs. And sure, they're gonna say I'm wrong for talking about homemade bombs, but the leader of the free world can drop A-bombs and napalm and got the nerve to ask, why do they hate us when they still got the blood on their palms? Why they stayed long and sang songs about freedom and justice all bloody day long? They claim to live right, but they have got to be dead wrong. And maybe just because I'm so young and headstrong, maybe, what did I say?
I'm just too
What? Yes, headlong into the enemy fire and cycle desire death. I just got the same blood that pumps through a lion's chest. I come from a line of warriors that take off the iron vest, unsheathe their swords and sprint to the thick of the mess. So I am begging them now, send me your best. There's only two possible outcomes. One, I can send them to rest. Or two, they can send me to my Lord. I like the second one the best, but I will kill your killers and live and settle for less, because I'm already a dead man walking, a mute man talking, a blind man watching my brothers die. But I won't build all coffins, and I will not take part in the death of my heart's kin. I'd rather die. Why didn't I start leaving? Affecting my self-esteem. Are there any other questions? Yes. Can I do a love poem? Yes, I can. I have to think of one. Yeah, that is kind of a love poem, yeah. All right, I'm going to think about that. I'm not just moving on, I'm thinking about this.
You said that half an hour was about
So what's the difference between the two halves of the poem? The first one was an internal, and the second part was an external. So it's like the Dhahar and the battered of my little poem. So it's about the inner struggle and confusion and experience and exertion, and then about the outward confusion and struggle and exertion like this.